We were exploring the interesting journey that she had from growing up in Kenya, going to the United States, spending over a decade there, coming back to Kenya, being an entrepreneur, or rather being a teacher for 9 years. And then COVID came, then she decided, why not? Let me go into entrepreneurship.
It was a very spontaneous decision. But looking back, I also know that I had been ready to jump for a long time. And COVID gave me the security blanket to be like, people are losing their jobs, people are just at home doing nothing. So it's
people are losing, you decided to jump through. You're spontaneous by nature.
Yes, quite spontaneous.
Something interesting that I got to uncover, you shared with me a video earlier on, and I got to uncover that all your employees are female. What exactly is that?
There's that dynamic where like, because he's the one working on the machine and you're a woman, like...
I don't receive any instructions.
It was very difficult.
Good evening and welcome to the Late Night Business. My name is Ian Dennis, and today we're going to be exploring the second part of the show that we had last week with Nyandia Kamawe. I hope today I've actually got it right, the founder of Moko. And from the first part of the show, we were exploring the interesting journey that she had from growing up in Kenya, going to the United States, spending over a decade there, coming back to Kenya, being an entrepreneur, or rather being a teacher for 9 years. And then COVID came, then she decided, why not? Let me go into entrepreneurship. Which is an interesting point because for most entrepreneurs, or rather for most Kenyans, or rather even the world at large, it was like a point of everybody just trying to explore the entrepreneurship. Yes. How was it? What was that? What was it called? How did you make this decision? Because like the world is shut down, and then like you decided to quit your job at that particular point in time.
The quitting of the job really wasn't thoughtful. It was a very spontaneous decision. But looking back, I also know that I had been ready to jump for a long time, and COVID gave me the security blanket to be like, people are losing their jobs, people are just at home doing nothing. So it's
people are losing, you decided to jump through. You're spontaneous by nature.
Yes, quite spontaneous. Good and bad. So quit my job, and then just to keep busy, because everyone's like, okay, now that you've quit your job during COVID, like who does that and what are you going to do? Started tinkering with what I had. I had a shed where I'd stored the bottles over the years because I, like my mom, I hold on to things and I'm like, don't throw them away. So started playing with them during COVID. I've always cut bottles for my house. So I used to have for my knives, my things in the house, I had bottles that I had cut. But never taken it seriously. So now during COVID, I started doing that, just staying busy. I'm a creative, so like staying creative is always good. I had paint, I had bottles, I had the cutter. It was a no-brainer. Started posting and people were like, okay, how much? And so the name Moko came up because I was like, I need to separate my my Instagram, so that when I go back to normal life, I don't have this thing on my personal, because it wasn't supposed to be a thing. And then someone shared with me an opportunity to do a course. And that kind of validated what I was doing, because I had never thought of my business as a sustainability business. I thought about it as a creative thing. And I really didn't even think about it as a business. It was just a thing. And so doing that course during COVID allowed me to see like there's potential and to really see what space we could occupy. Even though I didn't come away with a clear vision, I didn't even have proper registration then. It was just maybe this could work.
It was just like, let's try it out.
Let's try. Yeah. So when COVID eased up, I had kind of progressed because I'd done a few pop-up markets around town. And I just kept at it.
And just take me through the process. I'm so tempted to make it just one of my dad jokes. I'm like, this is the bottle, and I'm an Arsenal fan. So the only thing you're known of is just bottling everything else. I don't even get it.
No, I don't. I'm not a soccer fan.
You're not a soccer fan?
No,
I'm sure guys are going to get it. Arsenal, you always bottle everything out. But just take me through that particular process of just translating an idea and just something you're exploring over a period of time now to making it a business. How is it for you?
So in the beginning, like I said, it was a lot of experimenting and just trying, and then having a person just say, oh, wow, that's really cool. Or having someone say like, oh, you're a circular business. And then those moments added into the confidence that gave me now the next step. So the first 2 years, it was just me. So I didn't really have structure. I didn't have like a clear vision of who my customer is, what revenue I'm going for. I was just trying to survive. And then third and fourth year, it really got serious. And third year, because I got to partner with an extended producer partner. So we partnered with EABL towards the end of the year. And that really pushed up my production because now it was larger volumes, a bit more consistent. So hiring more people, increasing the machines, because like before I was doing manual. And so now having to move from manual machine to automated. Which has also its own learning curve, because it's not like there are machines in the shop where you go buy in Kenya, you fabricate. So a lot of learning, which I think I'm a life learner, so I'm always open to learning new things. So now defining who is my customer. My customer is an extended producer partner, number one.
So when you mean extended producer, primarily where are you sourcing your bottles from?
So in this particular scenario, you have a person who makes alcohol, who distributes alcohol. And so they have these bottles that cause a menace in the environment. And there are laws in Kenya now that require companies that create waste to be responsible for it, some of it, yeah? So they're looking for ways to creatively deal with the waste that they create. Creatively deal with the waste. Yeah. And so we are closing the loop on glass bottle waste. So instead of the glass bottle waste leaving the bar and going to Dandora, we are intercepting it at the bar level. So we are collecting from different bars around town. When we collect those bottles, we bring them into our workshop, we convert them into glasses, and then we distribute through that partner. So our customer is that partner because they're the ones who pay per glass. But ours is the logistical work of going club to club, door to door, bringing it together, cutting, preparing it, and then putting it out.
And how did you eventually end up finding your niche? Because I'm sure when you started off initially, you mentioned that you were experimenting, trying it out, and then I'm sure primarily because there's so many things that can actually come up from the glass. Let's say it's something beautiful, you're just using it as a what's it called, glass of water. How did you eventually end up finding your niche?
I don't know that I've found my niche and this is it. Yeah, like I said, I'm a lifelong learner. So if you'd have asked me this question last year, I would have had a very EPR focused answer. But this year now I'm like, okay, we have also realized we have a very big opportunity in corporate gifting. Corporates are looking for opportunities to gift items that are sustainable, that tell a story, that is socially responsible. And so we are constantly, I think the gift in a creative business is the ability to kind of wiggle around and figure out, because on one hand we do a lot of gifts for individuals. My mom's turning 50, I want something special. Can you put a personalized message and decorate it? And then we have corporates that say we want to gift this particular group of people. Can you give us something within this budget? So sometimes with corporates, yes, they want the sustainability angle, but they also want to stay within a certain budget. And what trash products allow you to do is stay within budget. It's very easy because we add a bottle, remove, get a high quality bottle, get a lower quality. There's always ways to wiggle around. And so the constant journey is showing us that there's so many places we can go in terms of niche market. So I'm hesitant to say we've found our niche market, but we are always discovering segments. But our primary revenue driver right now is the extended producer partner.
Interesting.
Yes.
And something interesting that I got to uncover, you showed me a video earlier on, and I got to uncover that all your employees are female. What exactly is that?
It's not again, I'm just...
Is it by coincidence or is it intentional?
It's coincidence. So number one, I have a business that's based at home. So when I started looking for people to hire, I didn't want, because I was a small business and I didn't have a lot of money to offer, but I knew that if I could recruit close by, I cut your commuting costs. And I also wanted to empower the community around me. So I started by recruiting. Initially, my first employee was a guy. And then I realized that we were struggling with instructions from a woman to a guy about a machine. So there's that dynamic where because he's the one working on the machine and you're a woman,
I don't receive any instructions.
It was very difficult. And I don't know if it's a personality thing. Maybe as we grow, I'll figure out a different way to go about it, but I really struggled. And then when I hired the second employee was a female, and he had to train the female. And then she got it, and I realized that women are intuitive. So there is a way that a woman, when she's working with the machine, she's like, "Ay, inapiga kelele," like those little things. I think guys just don't generally operate that way. They operate from very factual, very different way of thinking. And women tend to be more intuitive. And that's very helpful when you're working with machines that are not perfect. Our machines are fabricated, like I said. And so it helps when you have people who are able to recognize those little things early, because then it reduces the problems that you have as a result of the machine completely breaking down. So we went from 1 woman to 2 women to 3 women. The first one I got coincidentally happened to be a person that had been through NYS, done mechanical engineering. So that was an added plus, because not only was she a woman and she was intuitive, but she also had mechanical engineering background. So that really made me realize there's actually a potential here for women. And then also because women in my community, if they're going to get a job without skills, they're most likely going to maybe washing clothes, kulima.
Yeah.
And then in our community, it's not the kind of community where people hire people to wash clothes.
Yeah.
It's really almost a rural urban community. So it's really like a really good opportunity for women with ambition, because now for them they get to really do something that gives them purpose, gives them some dignity, proper income that's regular, that they can depend on, and they get to be close to their homes, because like you find that when you work with women, if you can, there's no perfect environment, but if you can at least cater to their way of life, being that they're mothers first, so they get a call from school, mtoto ni mgonjwa, they can run because it's close by. So those little added values I've found have served me well, because then I'm also able to get the best out of them as an employer.
Interesting. And the thing about the business is that you're running a sustainable business.
Yes.
Or rather, it's that particular sustainable.
Yes.
Was it intentional, or was it called just something that you just uncovered over the way?
No. It was not intentional.
Because I know there's always this corporate lingo, running a sustainable business and doing all these things.
So now and it's interesting, because for me, a lot of people were saying like, oh, you're a sustainable business. I'm like, no, I'm a creative business. And I was also very aware of the greenwashing that's going on. So there's a lot of people who are saying we are sustainable, but then it's really a product in a brown bag. So I was hesitant to use that word. What happened last year is that we got accepted into a program that is funded by IKEA in partnership with Climate Kick and a local partner, implementation partner, where we went through a 6-month process. It was a validating process where they really got to examine your business inside out. So beyond the actual product that I'm creating, what is my process? Because you can create a sustainable product, but you're really doing harm to water, you're doing harm to, you're over-consuming energy. So at the end of the day, it's better we just go manufacture glass from scratch. So these guys helped us, because the EU had this partnership with Climate Kick, they have a system that's a technical system that allows us to validate every step of our business. So now I have an actual report that gives you numbers. So in terms of trees and what exactly. So like being able to have that kind of data is very powerful, because I otherwise would not probably be as confident saying we are a sustainable business. And it also allowed us to see where we can improve, because even in the process they're able to say, okay, you might want to look at this part of your business and see how you can make it a bit more sustainable. So for us now, after that last year, we are able to now start to address sustainability from a holistic rather than just the product standpoint.
And how do you quantify it? Because I know there's always that particular, what's it called, saying this is a sustainable business. How do you quantify a business is sustainable? Having gone through that program, having been in that particular practical, how do you, what's it called, ascertain that business is sustainable?
Number one, obviously you want to be as is unpolluting a word. So obviously pollution should not be part of your byproducts, right? So the less the pollution. So in terms of energy, what are your energy sources? How do you utilize the energy that you do have? Then water. Like for us, one of the things we did as a result of this program was implement a wastewater collection system. Because our machines don't require clean drinking water to function, they just need wetness. So we're able to collect all the water that comes out of our production room. It goes into our waste pit, then it's recycled and cleaned to go back in the machine. So we're able to have this loop on water. So when it comes to those type of little, then packaging, for instance, packaging tends to be mostly cardboard, because you need to be able to box your things. And then especially for us, because we ship overseas, you still have the issue of bubble wrap. So bubble wrap is plastic. So one of the things we're doing right now is trying to see what can we do with banana fiber. So those little things, trying to address sustainability from a big picture kind of thing when it comes to your business, rather than just like, it's sustainable. Really going in there and figuring out how can we be sustainable every step of the way.
And you've mentioned you also ship abroad. How did you get into the international market? How's that process been?
That's such a general question.
Or rather, how did you start getting the international market?
So what happened is like Instagram is global. So when people find your page, they're like, oh, can I get it in such and such? And I'm like, no. And so then I had a company in Austria also that approached me and wanted to partner. But then when I looked into warehousing because for you to sell through their platform, they're like an Amazon for eco products. So for you to sell to their platform, you have to be warehoused in the EU region. I was not ready because it's a very high cost, logistics, taxes, all that. And at the time when they approached me, I was a very small, very new business, but it also made me realize there's potential here, because if they're reaching out, that tells me that there's something. So what I decided to do, because I have the technical know-how on how to build a website, why not build a website and create the technology within my own thing, where if a person wants to order, they can order directly. Yes. So now we do offer an e-commerce platform where you can order directly.
And how do you go about shipping abroad, or just do it from locally? Oh,
so we've partnered with DHL. So DHL has really good products for small businesses, and they also have the technology that allows you to plug into your website. So for me, when you come to my website, DHL has a tech product that is plugged into the website that calculates volumetric weight. So you have to be accurate in your dimensions and your weights of your products, because the system just calculates the shipping and then gets the DHL money to DHL and handles all that.
Interesting. So everything is directly. So everything at least what you study in the university comes to play right now.
Yes.
And what might seem like a very straightforward journey, I always want to find, it seems very straightforward, everything is going up and up and up, but I always want to know, what's been the most difficult period for you in business?
Logistics. Our business, our highest cost remains movement and equipment. Equipment because, like I said, we are fabricating and we are learning on the job. Logistics because if somebody calls you for 200 bottles in Carnival, and another one calls you in Kitengela, and another one calls you on Thika Road, and none of these equate to a canter or a pickup. They're all like border quantity. So the cost of each of these pickups is high, but then they also can't hold them for you until you're ready until they're ready with the number that you want. So we've had to really work hard to figure out a system that works, and partnerships that work when it comes to logistics, by offering incentives, by offering, by having an agreement on this is what will come out for, this is what, this is too small, this is too high, but also working with communities that are already in trash. So in Kitengela, for instance, what we've done, because Kitengela is so far off, we plugged into a network through another company that was already doing trash. So they were doing paper, metal, and plastic. And because they have all these street boys who are already collecting, we're like, okay, can we partner? And your boys can now start collecting glass. And for them, they're like, nobody has ever asked for glass, so they've never collected. But they know where the bottles are in Kitengela. And so what we did is we found a lady who has a storage space in Kitengela. So she's able to pay them because we buy per bottle for specific brands. So she gathers them, and then we go to Kitengela when they have volumes. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And in this particular interesting journey, what would you say it's been one of the particular greatest lessons that it actually taught you through your life? Because I think you've had a very interesting kind of life through the decades. Yeah. Going through Kenya, going abroad, coming back, being a teacher, starting your business. In this particular interesting journey that you are in, what are some of the interesting, let's say, lessons that, just looking back in retrospect, that you can actually say has been?
I think the first one that comes to mind is saying nothing is ever wasted. I think it sounds very cliche, and sometimes when you're going through stuff in life, you don't want to hear that. But literally nothing in life is wasted, because it's been a long journey to get to where I am. And when I look back, I can see that every little experience I had along the way was building towards something. It's just that it didn't make sense at that time. So I'm grateful for
even building the website.
Exactly. Yes, all those things have come together very well. But when you're going through it, it's very difficult. So trying to remember that even in today, as I'm going through the things that I'm going through with my business, of course being smart about it, but also just recognizing that some of the experiences I'm having along the way may not make total sense right now, but will come to hindsight is always 2020. The other thing is just courage. It takes a lot of courage to constantly wake up and do this. And then for me now, there's responsibility. I'm responsible for families because there's all these women that are working for me. And so realizing that I have what it takes has been a hard thing for me because I'm always like on the loss. I judge myself harshly. But I'm now at a place where I can be confident in saying that I have something to offer. And this something that I have to offer is giving something of value to the community that I'm in.
And take me through your leadership, because I think right now you started off alone, tinkering things. You mentioned had one employee, 2 employees. The company has actually grown. What are some of the leadership philosophies that you apply in your business, and how exactly how's your leadership evolved? Because every entrepreneur is a leader. How has it been for you?
So in the beginning, I was in everything. I was like in the production room, packing, cleaning, like I was in everything. But one of the things, I did a program last year which has really allowed me to just zoom out and just be like, okay, this is what it looks like. And we need to figure this out. So one of the things is delegation. And delegation before for me meant that I handed tasks to individuals. But now it's delegation in the sense that we have a structure, we have an HR system, we have a management for HR that is completely separate from me, which has been a very hard thing.
But it's letting go.
Yeah, letting go. But then it's also been freeing because like I can be here having this conversation, not worrying about what's happening at the workshop. The other thing has been also to empower people. If I see potential in a person, just being like observing them enough. I think also from teaching, I've been able to have that intuition, like this person just needs a chance to learn certain skills and they can be valuable in this area. So I don't necessarily go for the top talent and pay top dollar, but I know how to identify and mold the person that I need. It backfires sometimes, but it has worked.
What do you look for in your hiring? That's an interesting question.
It depends what I'm hiring for. So for instance, communications. That's been a very hard thing to let go, let somebody tell your story because you're the Instagram person, you're the person on Facebook, you're the one on LinkedIn, and you're stretched thin because those are actual jobs. And so even when it comes to people inquiring, needing information about who you are, what you do, having a person that's able to be effective. I was looking for someone who understood the circular space, number one. Before we talked about the technical know-how of communications. Because if you're a communications person and you don't really get this space and the potential that it has, and some of the ways that we need to communicate to stand out in the market, it's very difficult for us to work well together because I'll constantly be like trying to correct you. But having a communications person who really understood who I am as a business and where I'm trying to go, who I'm not, has been very helpful. So now identifying that person came from a lot of conversation with people that understood me and my business, people that are in the communication space who are able to say, talk to this person, I think they will be good for you, and tell me why they are good for me. So that has allowed me to find my people per se. But the other thing is to be agile because I meet a person, they're amazing, they're supposed to be amazing at this, but in the process of working together, they turn out to be good at this and not this. So being agile enough to say, okay, let's,
Interesting. And just as we come to an end of this conversation, what would you say has been the most fulfilling part of this journey?
Life's changed, man. I think that, to be able to see a person when they joined the journey with you and then to see how their life has been impacted along the way. They may not be living in a mansion, but then for me, I really get to see the small little victories that they have, being able to pay school fees without like fear, being able to say confidently like, nyumba haifungwi this month. I've had ladies who, for the first time, I'm not having their houses locked because of not payment, or even children's school fees, no arrears, like you're paying on time. The other thing is that because we have now structured our company, we now have pay slips. Everybody can go to the bank and borrow money. Most of these women have never been that empowered. They all have NHIF for their kids. They all have NSSF, housing levy. I don't know how that will work out in the end, but at least they have dignity. So for me, I'm really proud of the dignity that we've been able to provide.
Interesting. Wow. Time literally flies so fast. I can't believe you've come to an end. Thank you so much, Nyandia, for this conversation.
Thank you.
Moko, you can actually just check them out across social media. You can actually check them on their website. They're doing quite interesting stuff. This is just one of the classes that they're actually doing. They do quite a lot, especially with the corporate one. Just consider actually just having them as actually your gift partners. Thank you so much for having watched the show. If you learned a thing or two from our conversation, you can actually follow on YouTube, on the KTN platform, on the Ian Dennis platforms, and all across social media. My name is Ian Dennis, and this has been the Late Night Business. Until next time, I'll see you right here on KTN.